on NTA, and I am Lydia Odijochi. Thank you for joining us. As of this morning, the 3rd of April, 6 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 190. The 6 new cases are reported in Osun State. 20 have been discharged, while death records remains 2. As Nigeria sustains efforts towards containing the coronavirus pandemic, President Muhammadu Buhari insists that value be retained within the economy, while the poor and the vulnerable remain protected. The president gave the order in a strategic engagement with the Presidential Committee assessing the impact of COVID-19 on the nation's economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has more.
President Muhammadu Buhari and members of the committee, headed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, analyzed the COVID-19 crisis on the economy, the various intervention measures introduced by government, as well as further steps to be taken in the best interests of Nigeria and Nigerians. Speaking to NTA News after the closed-door meeting, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said discussions also centered on the negative consequences of the lockdown on the economy, especially small businesses, and what needs to be done to mitigate such.
His directive is make sure salaries are paid, make sure critical infrastructure projects like roads, rails are protected. As much as possible, use local inputs so that we retain value within our economy, and also make sure that you have measures that protect the poor and the vulnerable.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, said President Buhari also engaged the committee members on the situation in the global oil market as a result of the coronavirus pandemic.
The economy is not in the best of shapes due to COVID-19. Oil prices are also collapsing every day, so we need to be on top of it and to brief Mr. President regularly.
What have you suggested to him?
I can't say that. The discussions are still ongoing, so we can't really say where we are now. You know, it's a developing situation. We live here now, oil prices will be different from where we left it when we were outside. So we can't really say exactly what we are discussing now, because it's something where we need to be updating regularly.
So what was his response?
Of course, he has given us his directives. I mean, he has looked at what we have told him, and he has also given us some direction on how to carry on.
It's not looking as easy as everybody thought it would be. The global economy, not naturally, like we all know at this time, will certainly suffer some very serious growth problems that may even lead to recession globally. So what we want to do is to see what can we do as a country to rescue our own situation so we don't go the direction many will go. It's not going to be easy, but we can only just assure our people that we're on top of it and that we'll resolve it, and Nigerians will still be better for it.
At the instance of the President, the Zainab Ahmed Committee continued its strategic engagement with the Presidential Committee on Economic Sustainability, led by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The containment of the coronavirus pandemic tops agenda of government at all levels. And we also just told you not too long ago that we have new cases reported from Osun State. And so the Osun State government is matching words with actions as Governor Boyega Oyetola signs into law Osun Infectious Diseases Regulation 2020. I now join Segun Lawole live on the phone. Tell us, Segun, if you can hear me loud and clear, what are the provisions of the law for emergency prevention? And what is the reaction of the people to this law?
Thank you, Lydia. Now, first let me emphasize that the governor made the order exercising the power conferred on him by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Now, for the provisions of the law, it means that anyone who violates the sit-at-home order will be liable to 6 months in prison upon conviction, or an option of fine, whereas the option, the amount is not stipulated. And again, for those who transmit or disseminate false information regarding COVID-19, it's also an offense now in Osun State, and that also attracts the same penalty. Now, in the same vein, the provision of unverified, untested, or unapproved cure, vaccines or other similar items that purport to cure or reduce instances of persons infected with coronavirus also constitutes an offense, and upon conviction, we also be liable to 6 months in prison. So the social media, which is awash with all kinds of remedies, cure, I think in Osun State, they'll be wary of government hammer on them. Lydia.
Okay, now Shegun, tell us what the reaction of the people is to these laws.
Well, it's a welcome development from all indication and from my interaction with a cross-section of residents of Osun State. They said it's long overdue. The only fear now is the rate at which the cases, the positive cases are coming up in Osun State. But the reason is not far-fetched anyway, because of the recent rescue of over 127 Nigerians, because you understand that the 127 are not majorly Osun indigenes. They are brought to a place called Ejibo in one of the cities in Osun State. There you have been, the place has been churning out a number of cases which have been found positive, even with the recent 6 cases, as at 11 this morning, that have turned positive. So that's the only fear. And we heard from whereas, if I'm allowed to say that from grapevine, that the government may move them to Osogbo, where they have a better facility. There in Ejibo, there's an isolation center, but we have not been there for one reason or the other. But people there are also cry foul that some of them stray away, maybe to look for food or whatever. That is still not confirmed, but it is right that government may move them to a better isolation center.
Okay, Shegun, one more question. Aside the laws that you just told us about, what else or what other measures are there in place to curtail the spread?
Well, it's no longer news that today in Osun State or Osun territory, there is a lockdown. And this is the 3rd day of lockdown, and it's been observed. And but as at last night, when I managed to come out, police is making some arrests, because you still find a pocket of people still going about. Maybe they were looking for food or drug or something, but the police frowned at that, and have issued strict warning that everybody should stay indoors. But you never can tell. Anybody may have reason to come out. So that's the situation. It's a total lockdown just to avoid spreading the virus. Earlier, it's not what government did may not have been out of place, because prior to this period, about a week ago, the government said there should be restriction in some major markets. And I observed that in some of the, yes, some lockdown, some did not, but majorly in banks, you saw people clustering about. Some of those banks were not organized at all, by my own estimation. You lock out people and they converge at the main entrance of the bank. Whereas I saw another bank, it opened wide, but creates a shelter where it staggered the people to sit down. That was quite lovely. Even at ATM points at this particular bank, I'm not going to mention any bank, you see that they maintain that social distancing. Whereas in some others, they close the bank, and so there's danger in what we are doing. Is it the government that will come out and enforce all of this? If the police comes out and say, yes, you'll be arrested or you close down, people will cry foul. Whereas on our part, we ourselves, we are not helping ourselves. I think the message should be everybody must keep distance. You know, sure now, whether you want to keep social distancing or not, it's not even going to happen. You are locked down totally.
All right, thank you, Shagun, for that situation report from Oshun. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, now, the Economic Sustainability Committee, headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, held its inaugural meeting this Thursday in Abuja. State House correspondent Jido Nifade reports.
The Economic Sustainability Committee, recently constituted by President Muhammadu Buhari, is looking into how to develop and implement strategies to alleviate sufferings of Nigerians at this time. The committee is mandated to take care of the economic challenges.
Of course, its implications are very clear for the economy. It has led to a downturn in practically every sector of the economy. Oil revenues have fallen precipitously. Of course, also domestic revenues have also fallen. So we're at a very critical and uncertain time in our economic history and even in our history as a nation.
This inaugural meeting is regarded as crucial as major steps have to be taken, such as developing a sustainability plan on repositioning the economy, growing the non-oil sector, and turning the situation to opportunities. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
And as part of a coordinated national response strategy to COVID-19, state governments have been mandated to prepare a 300-bed facility to be used for isolation and treatment of COVID-19 patients should there be an upsurge of the pandemic in the country. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, conveyed this presidential directive during a briefing in Abuja. Mitai Rekwen reports.
As COVID-19 cases begin to rise in the country, the Presidential Task Force is rolling out more strategies for testing, treatment, and containment of the pandemic, including the need for more treatment and isolation centers at the state levels.
It is important that states, whether in the front line where cases have been reported or where cases have not been reported yet, to intensify the preparation of facilities that will help in the event of a surge. Either a hotel or other facilities that are available to them, a place where they can provide basic nursing and other required procedure. The Presidential Task Force shall intensify consultations with the governors and other state agencies to achieve the much needed collaboration.
On our contacts, we have traced and are monitoring 71% of all of them. By the end of today, that percentage will increase.
Lagos, Abuja disinfection is ongoing because we have more cases in these areas.
The task force, however, warned that circulation of fake news is a threat to government's containment of the pandemic.
So far, the Presidential Task Force has not received any donation directly in terms of cash for this exercise.
We appreciate the effort of the private sector in helping us, and they will be providing us with commodities. But the money that they are currently collecting will not come to government. It's a separate bank account.
It's been trending on the social media that the equipment and aid that we receive from China, from Jack Ma, they've all been infected with the virus. This is not true.
In view of the prevailing global shortages of particular commodities like masks and protective gowns and even of ventilators, we are going to have conversations with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to look for indigenous producers, indigenous manufacturers.
We just started the program of this cash transfer, No section of this country is going to be marginalized.
In compliance with international treaty and law, we cannot deny our citizens entry to our nation.
Nigerians in affected lockdown states were advised not to abuse the 4-hour period to purchase food supplies.
We don't expect people to travel long distances in order to obtain food. We expect that there will be markets that will sell food or shops that will sell food, groceries, etc. close to them.
The task force assured health workers and other frontline responders in the fight against COVID-19 of adequate protection, while appealing to Nigerians that the restrictions are not punitive, but to safeguard the health and wealth of the nation. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
We'll now take our first break. More reports when we return. Thanks for staying. The Akwa Ibom State Governor, Udom Emmanuel, has ordered a complete cessation of movement in the state for a period of 14 days. The total lockdown, according to the governor in a state broadcast, becomes imperative following reports of 5 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the state. Susan Asokwo has details.
The 5 confirmed cases, who are mostly healthcare professionals, Governor Udom Emmanuel say are in good health and have so far presented no symptoms. While the 5 COVID-19 confirmed cases have been moved to the isolation centers for proper management, the process of contact tracing has begun to identify those who may have been exposed to them. To this end, Governor Emmanuel has declared a cessation of movement in the state within a period of 14 days.
There will be no movement of persons except those on essential duties who must carry a proper means of identification on them at all times. All business premises, markets, shops, motor parks, and offices must remain closed during this period. The only exception will be pharmacies and grocery shops. All events of any nature are prohibited during this period. The relevant security agencies have been briefed and they will ensure strict compliance with this directive.
It will be recalled that Governor Udom Emmanuel had few days ago inspected facilities at one of the isolation centers in the state. In Uyo, Susan Asokwo, NTA News.
And in Abuja, an Islamic organization, Jamhiyatul Ansaruddin Tijaniya, is calling on Nigerians to embrace God and whatever faith they profess, especially at this trying time. National Secretary of the organization, Sheikh Muhammad Al-Qasim Yahya, said this has become important in view of the coronavirus pandemic ravaging the entire world.
That our general problem now is to unite towards the solution of this calamity. All of us have our sins. Everybody should really look inward and redesign and have a change pattern on how we see one another. Muslims, Christians, and everyone, even those who don't believe in any religion, they should come back to the path of humanity. Humanity.
Meanwhile, residents of Abuja are taking advantage of the 2-hour window provided by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for people to buy and sell essential products and produce. The lockdown is increasing demand and supply of food items among family members. Musa Baba Ali reports that more than 20 million people in Abuja, Lagos, and Ogun states are observing the lockdown.
Nkechi Aduma is at this mini market located at Area 10 Garki, Abuja, to buy more food items for her family, taking advantage of the 2-hour window provided by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for people in the lockdown states and the FCT to buy their daily needs. She says food consumption in her house has increased significantly, however, decried increase in the prices of some essential commodities.
Yes, the fear is there. With the increased rate of the cases of the COVID-19, and we are locked down. This is just 3 or 4, getting to the 4th day now, so it's scary. because we don't know how next week will turn out.
But what of the prices now?
The prices have increased a little because of the shutdown.
Not only in Kechi, other consumers share same view, but appreciating the window provided to enable them have access to more essential commodities. A visit to farmers market on the outskirts of Abuja shows that the lockdown and restriction of movement is not affecting the distribution and supply of food items. Drivers say security agents allow them free movement from one location to another. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In compliance with the federal government's directives, Social Investment Program in Sokoto has commenced disbursement of funds to beneficiaries of conditional cash transfer in the state. Musa Abubakar, who was at the flagging of payment at Tambuwal, reports.
With more and more restrictions to check the spread of COVID-19, beneficiaries of Social Investment Program thought they had to wait longer for their next payment. This is not to be for the beneficiaries of conditional cash transfers. Saadatu Umar and others who received 2 months' payment expressed satisfaction with the development. This followed directives of the President to commence 2 months' payment with the aim of cushioning the effect of tight restrictions on socio-economic activities due to the coronavirus pandemic.
For the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, to commence payment of the stipends given to vulnerable people in each local government of the country.
For now, we are paying the beneficiaries for the first phase, 10,000 naira. Then second phase is also coming. We are paying the second phase by next week, 10,000 naira.
With more than 3,000 beneficiaries in the state, the payment is part of efforts to make social distancing more effective among citizens. In Sokoto, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the conditional cash transfer to the most indigent and vulnerable in the country by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has entered its second day with a simultaneous rollout in Anambra, Katsina and Nasarawa states. In a statement, the Special Assistant on Media to the Minister, Salisu Na'ina Dambata, says the Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, had earlier approved the cash transfers to beneficiaries in the country. The payment was part of the immediate palliatives promised by President Muhammadu Buhari to cushion the effect of the partial lockdown of the country as part of measures to contain COVID-19. And now sports. Global sports calendar continues to readjust amid coronavirus pandemic.